Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview you, Chelsea. So, at age 18, it's been about, what, 5 months since Mama's Gotta Let Go has been released. What did you think of being the primary subject matter of the book, where a lot of stuff was revealed?
I think at first I was really uncomfortable with like other people knowing like a lot of personal stuff about me, but now I feel like it might be better for a lot of other people to understand what everyone goes through and just for them to connect and understand that we're all human and that we all make like mistakes and we all do similar things.
So, do you have any advice for parents who have daughters who are presently going through, the anxiety and stress that you went through?
I think I would tell them to just connect with their child more in any way that they can, because I think when you're in that state, it's really hard to want to engage with your parent when they're like doing their job or whatever and you're just alone in your room like watching Netflix or whatever, and you just don't really have anyone to connect with, and yeah.
Well, what do you think is the best way for parents to connect to someone, their child who's going through a hard time? Because you mentioned emotionally connecting. What's the best way that you would want someone to connect with you as a parent?
I think it's really important to find like the interest of your child and try to like do it. Like for example, if your child likes to go to the movies, like go to the movies with them, or like if they want to play a game on their phone, like on Snapchat there's like different games that you can play. You can like play against them and just connect that way.
What do you think was a major mistake mom made during this whole time where you didn't want to go to school, you didn't want to do homework? What was a mistake that I made?
I don't think you really made a mistake, more like it was like my fault that I didn't, like it was just a learning lesson on my part, and I think it was really important that I went through that, and I don't think it was anyone's fault except my own.
So you were fine when I did 5 hours of consecutive IXL math on a Saturday night till 2 in the morning?
I think in that instance, yeah, that really made me not want to do like homework or anything, and it made me just feel like why would I want to do homework or anything if I'm like forced to do it? And I think a lot of kids should know that it can be like a really like satisfying feeling when you see that like A or that B and knowing that you passed, instead of just doing like the minimum and just being like, oh, I made it on the deadline, like that.
So what made you change from getting an occasional D or F and you graduated cum laude? Do you know, like, what was the turning point that made you decide to start doing your work?
I think it was um, how I used to like my past self, like when I was a freshman, I wanted to get all A's and pass, like not a valedictorian, but just in the higher rankings. And I wanted to try to get back to where I wanted to be, and and then I just got a lot of motivation to finish all my work because I didn't want to let myself down, and I wanted to prove to others that even though I failed, or I didn't fail any of my classes, but I did, like I didn't do a lot of my work, and a lot of people saw that and they were like, it made me feel that, just because I I didn't do good in this one semester, that oh, she's not going to be able to do it in the next. So I wanted to just prove everyone wrong, and I think that's what helped me,
Mm-hmm.
graduate high and yeah.
With honors. So what's one tip you can give parents who have kids who just feel unmotivated and they don't want to do their homework without, forcing them or doing what I did, how do you think a parent can motivate their child without being like a dictator and forcing it upon their child to do it?
I think it's important to try to make it fun, like learning, and try to engage your child. Like for history, you can be like, oh, like this happened in the past, and like history could repeat itself, and that's what makes it really interesting to learn. And you can see like similar patterns like repeat over history. Or with math, I think it's really cool when you just see like when you finally get that formula and you finally get the answer. But I'm not sure with everyone like how everyone thinks, and everyone's different in their mindset. But I think it's really important to like make it fun and make it so they feel good once they find the answer for whatever.
So it's not just getting the answer for the grade, but making it a learning process.
Yeah, and just seeing their reaction like, oh yes, I got that answer right.
And how do you think kids who can't deal with the pressure, who just decide to check out for a little while, what advice do you give for to parents whose child might be having just too much anxiety, possible depression, and they just can't get themselves to even go to class or even do an assignment?
I think it's important to have those like mental health days to just like focus more on yourself, but it's important to know when to get out of that and make it and not make it so you're not doing work like for a long time, like a long period, and then you can get back into it. Because once you're in that state of it being very unmotivated and depressed, it's hard to like get back into it. But all you have to do is just like do one assignment and then get
back into it.
Yeah.
So do you think that therapy or some kind of mental health, reaching out to mental health specialists is something that people should be open to?
Yeah, because I think it's really important for everyone to just be able to vent to a person and help make them listen. Because I feel like a lot of like children and students, they don't feel like they're being heard, and it's important to have like a safe environment and being able to just let them vent and then hear their side of the story and then help them, but also not make it don't put yourself in their or don't talk like give like a long speech about how you were like them.
Like what I did?
No, I'm talking about my counselor. Because
like your school counselor giving advice.
Yeah, because he told me like everything that was going in his life, and in that moment I had questions, but he just went on and on and on
about his own personal issues.
Yeah, and I understood what he was doing. He was trying to make me like connect, but for me personally, it just made me feel like that was a lot of pressure that he was going on, and now I feel like, oh wow, he's doing that. It didn't really make me feel better, and I think it's important for whoever's like listening to their child, whether it be like the parent or like a specialist, that they like listen more than they
give advice,
or not, or when you give advice, but don't like overshare, I guess.
Do you think sometimes they minimize, when they say, well, I know your life is hard, but what I'm going through is harder?
Yeah.
Is that what some adults do?
Or they just, I think that's what they do.
Okay, so don't minimize, and kids want to be heard and understood, and just have a safe environment to share what they're going through.
Yeah.
Any final tips before we end this interview?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, thank you, Chelsea. My youngest daughter, still working on my oldest daughter to share, but at least I have one of my children sharing who is the focus of Mama's Gotta Let Go. Thank you very much, and we'll end here. Bye.